The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. And they came to that place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. They gave Jesus wine to drink mixed with gall, and when he had tasted it, he refused to drink. After they had crucified him, they divided his garments by casting lots. Then they sat down and kept watch over him there. And they placed his head, above his head, the written charge against him. This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Two revolutionaries were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left, and those passing by reviled him, shaking their heads, saying, "You who would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, well then save yourself if you are the Son of God. And come down from your cross." Likewise, the chief priests with the scribes and the elders mocked him and said, "He saved others, he cannot even save himself. So he is the King of Israel? Let him come down from the cross now, and we will believe him. He trusted God. Let him deliver him now if he wants him. For he said, 'I am the Son of God.'" The revolutionaries who were crucified with him also kept abusing him in the same way. From noon onward, darkness came over the whole land, and until 3 p.m, and about 3 o'clock, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Some of the bystanders who heard it said, "This is the one calling for Elijah." Immediately one of them ran and got a sponge and soaked it in wine, and putting it up on the reed, it gave him to drink. But the rest said, "Wait, let us see if Elijah comes to save him." But Jesus cried out again in a loud voice and gave up his spirit. And behold, the veil of the sanctuary was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth quaked, rocks were split, tombs were opened. The bodies of many saints who had fallen asleep were raised, and coming forth from the tomb after his resurrection, they entered the holy city and appeared to many. The centurion and the men who were with him, who were keeping watch over Jesus, feared greatly when they saw the earthquake and all that was happening, and they said, "Truly, this was the Son of God." There were many women there looking from a distance and who had followed Jesus from Galilee, ministering to him. Among them were Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of the sons of Zebedee. And when it was evening, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who was himself a disciple of Jesus. He went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Then Pilate ordered it to be handed over. Taking the body, Jesus wrapped it in a clean linen and laid it in the new tomb where he had been hewn in the rock. And he rolled a huge stone across the entrance of the tomb and departed. But Mary Magdalene and many other and the other Mary remaining sitting there facing the tomb. The next day, the one following the day of the preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered before Pilate and said, "Sir, we remember that this impostor, while still alive, said, 'After 3 days I will be raised up.' Give orders then that the grave should be secured until the 3rd day, lest the disciples come and steal him and say to the people, 'He has been risen from the dead.' This last impostor would be the worst than the first." And Pilate said to them, "The guard is yours. Go secure it as best you can." So they went and secured the tomb by fixing a seal to the stone and setting the guard. The Gospel of the Lord. They laid him in a tomb that had been hewn from rock, and then they rolled a huge stone across the entrance of the tomb and departed. Once upon a time, you dressed so fine, threw the bum as a dime, in your prime, didn't you? People call, say, beware, doll, you're bound to fall. You thought you were all kidding you. You used to laugh about everybody that was hanging out. Now you don't talk so loud. Now you don't seem so proud. Having to be scourging and scrounging for your next meal. How does it feel? How does it feel to be without a home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone? Well, those are the lyrics of the troubadour Bob Dylan, Nobel Prize recipient, although he never went to receive it. That song, Like a Rolling Stone, came out just the year before I was born, actually, so it's an old song now. But there's a way in which that kind of sense of abandonment and asking how we feel may in fact be where in fact we need to be in this Palm Sunday with this Gospel of Matthew. There's a way in which we're invited in this Holy Week that begins today into an accompaniment of Jesus, where we can use our imagination, as St. Ignatius says, with our scriptures and our readings and our rituals to really enter into Jesus' experience now and to really understand how he entered into the fullness of our experience, the worst of it, so that all of it, all of us and all of our world can be fully redeemed. He entered into all of it. He felt all of it. He felt like a complete unknown without a home, like a rolling stone with no base, just moving and unstable. He felt all of that lack of control and that vulnerability. He felt all of it. And you and I might be invited to accompany him in that, so that we can maybe have a better sense of when we feel similar vulnerabilities. Maybe not the horrific death that we read about in today's gospel, not the horrific suffering that he experienced. Maybe not, hopefully not, I beg not. Although there are people in the world who may be feeling and experiencing something very similar. And we should also invite ourselves to be with them this Holy Week. We should not be afraid to be with Jesus and to be with the world and its suffering self, because there's plenty of suffering in our world, my friends. And I don't know about you, but I get overwhelmed by it. I have to kind of not think about it all the time, or I'd be just live my life overwhelmed, right? And yet I feel guilty because there's real suffering in the world. If I don't think about it, am I not attentive to it? And yet I can't solve it all. I can't save the world. Jesus did. I can't. But there's a way in which I'm invited by Jesus to enter into not only my own experience, to meditate on his experience, but to then let that empower me to do what I can and be how I can be for the rest of the world in its experience, and especially those who are suffering. We live in a world in some ways that keeps going mad and madder, so to speak. It's gone mad. It's getting worse. That's at least my perspective. You may have a different one. We are now involved in any number of horrific conflicts, some we don't even read about because they've been going on for so long, like Sudan and other conflicts. We have injustices that persist, wars that gobble up billions of dollars. Right now, our own country, just in the last few months, has chosen to go into illegal conflicts that our system of government does not condone, and haven't even bothered to try to even think about that, and nobody seems to be upset. And these are conflicts that are all about valuable assets. And right now, thousands of young Americans are being sent to the Middle East to possibly fight in a conflict that is in the interest of the Saudi royal family and the Likud party in Israel. Let's be clear on that. Let's not mince words. Those are the interests of fighting in Iran, the Saudi royal family and the Likud party. And both of those entities are making some of our politicians and their relatives rich. We spend the lives of our young people for those interests, fight their war. We spend billions of tax dollars we don't have so that that billions of dollars can be given to certain families of our politicians. A world gone mad. Injustice is so egregious that you don't even have to do much analysis to think about the wanton violation of rights, dignity, and justice. You don't have to think about it. It's not that complicated. But friends, this Holy Week invites you and I, this account of Jesus' own passion in the gospel invites you and I to lean into the world and its craziness and its suffering, to meditate on the journey of Jesus to Calvary, and to look at that cross, that crucifixion, which was supposed to be his shame-faced end, a horribly undignified death that would end it all. The movement that they feared, the voice of a Jesus Christ calling himself the Son of God and proclaiming a reign of God's love here on earth as it is in heaven, that voice, that message, that Jesus does not die on Calvary. And because we can see to Calvary and accompany Jesus in all of that, we can then see through the cross to see the rest of our lives and the world in a new lens, the lens the cross gives you and me. And so the series of events that we read about this Holy Week that are like a rolling stone out of control, right? That roll all the way to Calvary, where then they roll a stone over the grave of Jesus and hope he's gone and it's all over. But you and I know that through the cross, that stone gets rolled back. It gets rolled back and opens up for us a new reality. A reality where we don't have to accept what's going on in the world, where we can, in fact, have an accompaniment of God in our toughest journeys, our worst suffering. A God that can persist in accompanying us, sustain us in all things. God may not protect us from everything. That I don't know. I can't answer those questions about whether God would or would not protect us from this or that. But what I can say confidently is that God will always sustain us in everything. And that, my friends, is something we come to know more deeply by leaning into the sufferings of Jesus and the sufferings of our world. And this week we're invited to really pray with that and be with that so that we may be empowered to possibly see through that lens of the cross, to know that that stone rolls back and opens up a new horizon. And that horizon can lead us to whatever action is possible in our lives, in our world, wherever we are, however we are, to begin to be a part of that uncovering, that building, that establishing of a reign of love. I really, really believe that. I have to believe that. In the last few Gospels during the daily masses leading up to this Holy Week, through the Gospel of John, Jesus keeps escaping getting stoned by those who disagree with him. He calls some of them liars, and of course then they want to stone him. He tells some of them, this is who I am, I'm from God, and God is real, and they want to stone him. His own people want to stone him. It becomes like a rolling stone of misfortune and bad moves that allow him to then be completely condemned and crucified in a shameful way on Calvary. But like I said, the stone that was rolled to seal him away and put an end to this, that stone gets rolled back. And you and I can become like that rolling stone which can never be stopped. You and I could be like that rolling stone that even in the worst of circumstances might be like the stone of Sisyphus. It gets rolled up a hill, Sisyphus falls back, but you and I don't. In some ways, we roll up in the midst of our suffering in the world with the inspiration of the suffering of Jesus and understanding that that means we are not conquered, but instead live. We can continue to roll that stone right over the hill and let it open up for us a whole new horizon with Christ. So friends, let us go into this Holy Week in a world gone mad, Let us join in and lean into the very sufferings of Jesus that we imagine and pray about and let come to life in our beautiful rituals of this week. And as we do that, let us join in some mysterious and beautiful way the sufferings of the world in all of the ways it's suffering. Let us join with that and let it become for us a source of empowerment, a source of reception of God's grace, so that you and I can step forward with the vision and lens of Calvary and the horizons of a stone rolled away and something new. How does it feel? How does it feel to be without a home, like a complete unknown? Well, you and I have a home in Christ. And you and I are known by our God, and He empowers us to really know and feel and be with in solidarity each other. And if that's true, we are never without a home. We are never unknown. Like a rolling stone that gains nothing but more energy, like a movement of grace that empowers us, we step forward with Christ into the whatever the suffering is, the suffering of our world. And we let that Christ and that movement of grace empower us to be who we're called to be today and tomorrow and the next day into the horizon of God's reign of love. Amen.